for you. If not, I'll get that turned on too. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Holt. Thank you so much for inviting me. And hello, everybody. It's so great to see your faces in your homes or your offices or some living rooms I see. I think this age of Zoom has been so intriguing because we literally are taken into each other's homes, for meetings, which is fun. And also, as we have developed our Zoom skills over this last year, which I'm sure you can all nod in agreement, we've definitely learned a lot, right? We've learned a lot about our faces, what they look like, what lighting is good, what sounds are better. And so it's been a learning curve for everyone. And if you're not on mute, then go ahead and hit that bottom little mute button in the bottom left and go ahead and mute yourself. That will just help with background noise. Oh, cue background noise. You might hear the jet above my house. Anyway, I'm really happy to be here. My name's Michelle Gilmore. I've lived in San Diego for a lot of years, about 42 of my something years. And I grew up in and around education primarily. I was a former teacher and I was surrounded by public school teachers in my family. And I have a lot of friends who were in education growing up. And so I taught for 10 years. And then I had the fortunate ability to be home as a stay-home mom for a period of time. And during that 10 years, thank you. Holt found the mute button. Good job, Holt. And
no, I was muting someone else, but it got you somehow.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about that.
You got me. That's all right. So anyway, so during the time that I was staying home with my 3 boys, I started volunteering, and I was actively volunteering at the kids' school. I was teaching art classes, and I just jumped in with both feet in any opportunity I could to help either our school organizations or local Rotaries. I worked on the Children's Hospital Auxiliary for a long time, and I just embraced that nonprofit, culture. And as I entered the workforce after my kids got old enough, there was an opportunity for me to jump into a development director position at a schools foundation here in Coronado, where I live. And I worked there for a number of years. And currently I'm the senior director of development for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And we raise money all over the United States to get towards a cure for CF. And we have a very successful model of fundraising. It's very event heavy, hence the name of my book that I co-authored, Eventology, where we kind of, my co-author and I sat down and said, what do nonprofits need help with? What is something that we hear in all of our conversations when we're talking to nonprofit leaders? We need help with this, we need help with that. And what we found was maximizing the dollars that are brought in at events and having them not only pay for themselves, but actually make money was the thing that we heard the most. How can we make our events more profitable? How can we make a bigger impact with the money that we're bringing in to maximize our communities, outreach, success, food banks, children's programs, wherever it might be that we're supporting, right? So I know Kiwanis nationally is supportive of children's charities and worldwide is my understanding. So I know that you all, as members of Kiwanis, are fundraisers. Even maybe you don't say you're a fundraiser, but you actually are, because as in service organizations, our goal, our missions is to improve our community and lift our children, in your case, up for better lives and better communities, right? So when Patty Smith talked about me possibly coming to speak with you, I put together a short presentation. It's about 15 minutes long, especially since I've already taken 4 minutes talking about myself. And what I'll do is I'm going to go through a series of slides and talk about fundraising in 2021, which is a prickly subject, let me tell you. And I will kind of go through some of the highlights, and then I'd love for you all to ask questions, because as you have me here, I have done every type of fundraising event there is, from a high-end gala with 500 people bringing in $500,000 to a little 5K with 100 people or 50 people bringing in $2,000. So I've run the gamut, golf tournaments. You tell me what kind of event, I've done it. So I'm happy to ask questions about specifics, but what I really think we need to talk about first, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, is 2021. I mean, raise your hand if you're glad that 2020 is over and 2021 is, yes, right? So let me share this. Here we go. I'm going to do that. Okay, let me neaten this up a touch. Hold on here. I have to move you all out of my way. Okay. So that's me. And one of the things when I was putting together the presentation, we had so many conversations this year in 2020 of what to do. Are we going to cancel all of our events? Are we going to do everything online, especially for an audience that's not very comfortable online? You know, I'm sure it was a challenge for some of you to adapt to a Zoom Kiwanis meeting. And it took time. It took maybe 1 or 2 or 3 meetings before you got the knack of logging in and clicking the link and seeing your video and making sure that you weren't, having your screen like this. So the adjustments have been real, and fundraising has really taken a hit, as you can imagine, in some of the sectors, in some of the fundraising, communities. Now, as you all know, a lot of people stepped up big time during this time because they saw the need. They knew that there was so much food insecurity because people had lost their jobs, they lost their homes, and there was such a huge amount of need. Fundraising actually was up in 2020 significantly, over 17% increase nationally in dollars raised through 2020 than compared to 2019. And it makes sense because of the need that was so great. So when we talked about fundraising and strategies going into 2021, we had a couple of questions. So I wrote them down, things that we're going to look at today in my presentation. The first thing is, let me make this a little smaller. Not that small. Okay, here we go. Thank you for your patience. All right, so this is the book Eventology, and I'll talk about that at the end. But what to expect in 2021, and specifically fall, because that's when our next fundraising season kicks off. Typically, if you're a nonprofit, you're doing fundraising in the spring and in the fall. So I'm going to focus on fall fundraising. So what to expect and what to avoid. And the topics that I have on my agenda for my short presentation is, number 1, is it too soon to have an in-person event? So we'll talk a little bit about hybrid fundraising. The number 1 hook for donors. I get this question a lot. What's the one thing I should do? What's the one thing I should ask? That's our second topic. Re-engaging your volunteers. I am certain, as I'm speaking to all of you, since you're all volunteers, since you're at Kiwanis right now, that it's been hard to wrangle people during this time since they've been mostly on lockdown, very hesitant to be around other people. The volunteer jobs that are available aren't very, tactile. So you can write thank you notes and you can make phone calls, but certainly it's been a challenge to even show up and volunteer anywhere. And then we'll talk about sponsors, because every fundraiser that you have, if you have an event, the way to maximize money is through underwriting or sponsorship. All right, get your pencils ready. Here we go. I'm a fast talker, so I'm going to speak fast, but I did understand that this will be recorded. So don't worry if you miss it, because you'll get the recording later, I think. Right, Holt? Right? Okay. All right. Is it too soon for in-person fundraising? First of all, the answer is no. In San Diego County, which you all are in, we have a very high vaccination success rate in terms of our population. That means that a majority of our people are either on their way or have been fully vaccinated. And so you're going to see a lot of in-person activities and events, concerts, in-person art festivals. All of those things are going to start coming back. So it's not too soon. However, trust your instincts. This is my big caveat, trust your instincts, because if you feel like a part of your constituency or some people that may have attended an event in the past still are a little bit uneasy about being in person, right? Sure, people have been vaccinated, but maybe they haven't felt very comfortable about being vaccinated and they don't want to go in person. So if you're having an in-person event, host some section of your fundraiser that is virtual. So for instance, let's say you have an in-person walkathon or a jogathon, and you have somebody who's going to take the microphone and they're going to tell a story of the impact of the fundraiser. So maybe this is a child whose life was changed because they had the opportunity to go to college for the first time in their family. And no one else in everybody in their family had not gone to college, but this one high schooler or graduate just got accepted to go to college, and she's the first one. And she's speaking on the microphone on stage at the walkathon. Make sure you're providing a video, a live stream of that to anyone who could participate from home and watch this, and provide a donation link, an easy way for them to donate. You'll be amazed how successful that will be. I can talk a little bit about that during questions. If you guys want a question and answer about specific example of how to do a virtual version of an in-person event or a hybrid model. And another thing is, instead of having a silent auction with everything laid out, convert it to an online auction, and you'll see so much success. You can keep it open for a week at a time instead of just one day or 1 hour, right, at your event. Also, raffle items, put them on an online auction, and you can keep it open for a week and people can bid, and the technology is inexpensive and easy to use, so easy. Collaboration for the win. I love this one. Collaborate with like groups. This is the future of fundraising in nonprofits all over the United States. Funders, big funders. So let's say you're talking to Wells Fargo Bank. I know we have some bankers in this group. Wells Fargo Bank gives away a certain amount of money every year on sponsorship. They're very particular about what the cause is, who can apply, what the mission is, how many people it impacts. What they love is when two nonprofits with like missions get together and they come with one ask for their event, right? Also, this can provide a little bit of support in an area where you might not have a big strength. Let's say you're a brand new Kiwanis group and you are super excited about setting up a signature event. Well, you might need to partner with another local Kiwanis group or 2 or 3 and host this one event for a year or 2. That way, what you're doing is you're building your audience and you're building a reputation for this signature event. And then if need be, you can, offshoot and take it in your own direction. But collaboration, funders and sponsors are going to be looking for nonprofits that are collaborating with each other. And then I mentioned this on your signature event. Let's say you have a golf tournament every year. Add some kind of an online component. So that would be similar to the online auction that I mentioned. So the golfers all show up, they go out, they have a great time, but the night before they got a link with a welcome link to an online auction where they can bid on all the items that they usually put their raffle tickets in or sign up, or even the live auction can be now converted to an online auction. And you can see that people get very competitive on those. It's a lot of fun. The number one hook for donors: tell the story of the impact. This is so important. What I think is so interesting is that nonprofits love to talk about themselves. We are doing so much good in the community. We are making a difference. We are making the students of Del Cerro so happy with the new grass. It's all about what we are doing. Take that and reverse it. Let's make the donor the hero. You can do this for our children. You can bring 5 meals this week to a homeless family. You can make this student go to college for their family for the first time. You can do that. And how are you getting them? How are you saying this to them? In a short video message. Now, sometimes people see this and they go like this. You know that emoji like this? Like, oh no, I can't do it. No, you can do it. Literally, we're doing it right now. First of all, we're on video. So you could just videotape yourself on Zoom and say, hey friends, I'm raising money for a nonprofit that's coming up, an event that's coming up next Friday. I need 5 people to donate $100. Call me if you want to be one of those 5 people, right? And then you send that out via phone, on your email, however you can, and you'd be surprised how impactful that is, just from a normal one little video on a Zoom, or just using your iPhone to make sure you videotape yourself this way, okay? Also, in a newsletter that you typically would send, or an invitation that you typically would send via email, have the 75% of it be an image. One image, a great smile, draw your viewer in. Somebody make the story make the image tell the story of what you want. So match the ask with the impact. That's really important. If you're asking for $100, tell me what you're going to do with that $100. If a new set of golf clubs for a kiddo who is going to have golf lessons for the first time at Pro Kids, which is a nonprofit driven golf course, and let's say a new set of golf clubs is $113. Ask for $113 for a new set of golf clubs for a 9-year-old. Make it really specific. People relate to that. They understand, oh, I'm giving this and someone's going to get that. That's amazing. Also, I said this at the beginning, make the donor the hero. Who is making a difference? It's you. They're the person who's going to bring joy, bring a meal, bring golf clubs, bring a first year of college, make the person you're talking to the hero. All right, I'm running out of time. I'm going to go fast. Re-engaging your volunteers. All the things that you've done in the past to participate in fundraising. So this would be making phone calls, getting people to sign up on email. Maybe you send out a form that says, join here for information about our upcoming event. And then there's a sign up sheet for people to volunteer. This year in 2021, people are hesitant because it's been a while since they stepped into a schoolyard or onto a park area. They're a little bit more hesitant, so it takes a little bit more pushing. But those personal connections, the more personal that you can make them, the more effective you'll be. So Holt will tell you that he sent an email to all of us for today's meeting. He sent a specific Sign Up Genius email to me, making sure that I knew that I was presenting and at what time. He sent a follow-up email through Deb today with the link to make sure that we be all there. And it took 3 or 4 engagements for all of us to get here together, and here we all are, right? It was a personal email from a personal person, not from a MailChimp, not from a constant contact. Not that those are not good. They are great. They're awesome for sending a newsletter or an invitation for the first time, but then you personally forward it to me and say, hey, Michelle, we need 4 more volunteers for this Saturday at the immunization center. Can you be here? So all of the personal reach out, it does take a little bit extra right now, but they'll say yes. Your best supporters in every fundraiser, your best supporters, financial supporters, are typically volunteers first. You can all relate to this. Think about one time when you've made a donation because someone that you worked with or where you volunteered moved you to make a donation. You thought, oh my gosh, I am sitting in this beautiful ladies' luncheon as a guest of my friend. I didn't even buy a ticket to come. And I'm listening to this guest speaker, and she's telling me about her journey with her daughter who has cystic fibrosis. And I'm listening to the message, and I'm listening to the struggles that she's gone through with all the medications for her daughter and everything. And I am so moved. I'm going to make a donation right now. And my friend got me there because she said, would you like to volunteer and help me check in everyone? And then we'll go and have lunch and listen to the speaker. Most of the time, so many of your supporters will start as volunteers. So get as many volunteers as you can to come to your events. Even if you have to make up jobs, it's great to have more hands. And then your volunteers are really, really key in sharing the mission. So make sure they know it. Make sure they understand and know the mission. Okay. Wow, your sponsors. This is my last page, and then I'll take some questions. Sponsors are your bread and butter for every type of fundraising event. Now, I say it that way specifically because there's a fundraising campaign, right? So that might be a Giving Tuesday campaign. That might be an end of year campaign when everyone has a tax write-off and they're writing checks to their favorite charities. Those are campaigns. An event is something that's a physical activity where you're gathering people to make a donation and get impact, for your organization. Sponsors are the best way to fund your expenses. That way, everyone who's making a donation, you can say your dollar is going to the cause. Your dollar is buying that set of golf clubs. If you have sponsors to cover your hard costs, that's a win. I have excellent templates. I have samples of sponsor packages and sponsor decks to share with you. If you contact me through Patty or Holt, I'm happy to send you guys some sample sponsor packets that are very effective and some pitch ideas. One of them is a digital program book. So if you're doing a hybrid model where not everyone's going to be in person, sponsors are really liking 2020 because the digital program books that you're making, so similar to a PowerPoint presentation, thanking the sponsors, adding their logo, maybe even a video greeting from one of them, and they can say, hey, we would love, we're happy that we're here today, even though we can't be in person. We're so happy to support Kiwanis of Scripps Ranch. Keep up the good work, guys, and they get to pitch their business. Having that very short 15-second clip in there is powerful for them because what they feel like is that's going out into the world. You can share it on social media, through email, really everywhere. The last one is acknowledge them with awards. If you have a sponsor who's been around for 2 or 3 years, create a special community service award for them and acknowledge them and invite them to be honored at a place where there isn't any fundraising necessarily. It might be your annual meeting, or maybe it's a special meeting where you're just giving awards, and let them speak and accept the award. There's a lot of power in that, and that doesn't happen. That acknowledgement does not happen enough with sponsors. They feel like you just ask each year, and you might send them a thank you note, which is great and very important, but it's not as good. It's not as much as really honoring the service that they have given you year over year with some type of an award. Okay, now I'm going to stop speaking. I'm going to answer any questions. And then I put this slide back up, and I'll share it at the end, because if you're interested, I am selling books directly for you all. I'm going to place an order. So if you buy them on Amazon, they're $25. And in the Eventology book, there's actually a whole list of sample events and then how to start you know, from A to Z, of how to set them up successfully and what pitfalls to avoid in order to get your maximum dollars out of there. Also, Dean has willingly, so kindly shared his Venmo account, because we're actually going to take orders through the Kiwanis. They're going to collect $20, so you get a discount of 20%. And I'm going to place the order so you get them at my cost, and I'm going to donate all the proceeds back to the Scripps Ranch Club of Kiwanis. So his Venmo is Dean-Anderson-3141. It's right here.
Hi, Michelle. This is Dean.
Hi, Dean.
I put some information in the chat. So if anybody's interested in this book, please go to the chat and you can copy my little comment there, and it will tell you what to do. So please let me know if there's any questions or whatever. But
thanks, Dean.
You're welcome.
Also, let me say one more thing. There are 2 people who are on this call right now. If you're here, you're already in the drawing for 1 hour of my time. I'll talk your ear off, as you can tell, about any fundraising you might have going on. So everyone's in a drawing automatically for just showing up. If you purchase a book, we're going to add another entry for that. And so we'll pull that, and I will make sure that we'll let you know if you won. And I'm happy to spend an hour of your time with a group of people. If you're on a committee, or if you're just thinking about fundraising, you want to put together a plan, I'm happy to get on a Zoom call with you and work on that. Any questions? Let's see if there are any in the chat too.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Hi, thank you so much for doing this. I know that this is your job. If somebody like a group hires you, how do you get paid?
Oh, good question. So I have a couple of different ways. I have my day job at Cystic Fibrosis, and then I have a consultant, basically consultant package. And there are 3 different versions of how my colleague and I work. So there are 2 of us that are in the consulting practice. It's the co-author of our book. He's a professional auctioneer. So he and I either price pieces out like a contract would be to work with you and just teach you how to do it for you, we call it. So we just take over, and let's say we host your whole event, plan it. He could be the auctioneer, or we manage it with the staff that we have, or we just do hourly coaching sessions. And that depends if you have both of us or just one of us. And there's a fee for that, depending on what it is. So we do it hourly, by a monthly contract, or just take over and we do a whole event, and we usually bid that out.
Okay, thank you very much.
Of course.
And Michelle, have you gotten pretty heavily involved in the whole social media marketing of fundraising events, and how involved with that are you?
Very, very. In fact, in our office, we have 5 people. One person is just dedicated to the social media and email marketing components for all of our events. We have 7 events a year. And so we basically bounce from one marketing campaign to the next. And there is a lot of strategy right now around social media, especially with Instagram and stories, and LinkedIn is actually a sleeper social media. It's kind of becoming very prevalent in the nonprofit sharing world.
And have you found social media advertising or marketing to be effective?
It can be very effective. It depends on your target audience, what we call a donor avatar. So what I'll do when I sit down with a group for the first time, I'll say, what's your perfect avatar? What's your perfect donor? How old are they? Where do they live? What socioeconomic group are they in? Your typical, like right now, Holt, whatever group that you're in right now, you could probably kind of guess your average person, the average attendee or club member, what business they're in. So if you highlight that, then we figure out where they are and where to go find them. So they might not be on Facebook, right?
Right. Not if they're young.
Right. Exactly. Or too old. It's kind of funny place.
Yeah.
John, I think Steve, you have a question, and then John.
I do, thanks. In my community, I suspect there are probably 25 nonprofits that are planning major fundraisers this fall. How are we going to be able to get through the clutter of all that to reach potential donors?
That's an excellent question, Steve. Be unique. Think outside the box. Do something totally different. Have a cornhole tournament in like a big grass area. I'm serious. You know what? You see what I'm saying? Like, don't do what everyone else is doing.
That's funny because several of our people here today are from Tierra Santa Kiwanis, and that is one of their major fundraisers is a cornhole tournament. Yes.
Like I knew that. No, but it's fun and unique, or a softball tournament. Bring back softball tournaments. No one's been doing those for a while, and it's somebody that everybody can participate in. It's a fun day out. It gets them there, and then you give them the pitch. You give them a little beer. We're good. John, I think you're on mute, sir.
Yeah, you're on mute.
Just hold
There you
on.
go. There you go.
I made it. Hey, you mentioned that your consulting group had 7 events that are planned. Can you tell me what range of things that you're doing in these 7 events? What type of things are you involved in?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually my Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Our office has 7 events annually. So we have a cycling event, and it's a competitive cycling event, right, for like professional cyclists.
Okay.
We have a golf tournament. We have 2 walks in San Diego. One's in Manhattan, or Moonlight Beach in Encinitas, and then one's down in San Diego at Liberty Station. That's kind of our big signature events called Great Strides. Then we have a chef event, which is my event. It's at the Hotel Del, and it's a chef tasting with 30 chefs from Baja and San Diego all together at one. So that's always a fun one. And then we also have a surfing event. So we have some peer-to-peer, which are like people send out, and you've gotten them, I'm sure, John, a request to make a donation to someone's fundraiser who's walking or running or surfing. So we do some peer-to-peer and some, event type of gala events.
So these are fairly large events that you're involved in.
Oh yeah. Last year's chef event, we had 500 people at the Del, and we brought in about $432,000 net.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Very good.
Do golf tournaments still work?
No, they're the worst fundraiser ever.
Thank you.
I agree.
And I'll tell you why. I know that's a harsh answer, and some people love their golf tournaments, and it's like, don't say that, Michelle, but I'll tell you why. It's too expensive to make any money unless you have somebody who's going to be a title sponsor for $100,000. Wells Fargo, if you're on here, that would be good for you. If you can get $100,000 in sponsorship and then cover all your costs and do all that work and spend the day, that's a win. Very rare in San Diego, though. Very rare.
Okay.
Anybody else? Who has a burning question?
So Michelle, how many of your fundraisers were totally virtual? There was nobody there. It was all done virtual. And which one was the most successful?
That's an excellent question. I had one 3 weeks ago, Craig, and it was a ladies' luncheon. Typically, I had to cancel it in 2020. And so this year, we brought the ladies virtually together. We had a guest speaker who was an author. And what I did was I sent lunches via a caterer to their house. So they received these beautiful baskets with their lunch and a bottle of champagne, and a little reminder said, see you at noon tomorrow for the event. And we brought in $50,000, and that was the goal. But how we brought in $50,000?
What was the fundraiser about? What did you do to raise the $50,000?
That's a good question. We did 2 things. We sold tickets for $150 per, and the cost of my lunch was about $55 per, right? We also did what's called a bid for a cure, or an ask, similar to a paddle raise in a real room. We did that during the program, and we had some people who were sponsors in advance. Those were the 3 revenue streams for that event. Now, the reason why I was successful for $50,000, that's a lot for a virtual event, is because these people have been coming to this event for 10 years. So they know it. So they didn't love the virtual part of it. A lot of them didn't show up, but they still sent a check in. They still made a donation online. I know my time's up. Who else? Kathy, I love the thumbs up. You're welcome. Thank you.
Michelle,
Yeah.
Michelle, how do you get people to donate things? Like our club, we want to have a raffle at one of our events. I hate going into a company and say, will you give us something for our raffle? I mean, I would rather scrub my bathroom floor than do that.
Well, Kathy, the trick is finding people that aren't you. And there are them. Mary Beth's shaking her head. There are some people, Kathy, who love doing that. They love going into business and saying, here's how you can help us. We only need $200 gift certificates and we're going to have a full raffle. And will you please help us today? And they'll ask for a letter, they'll drop it off, they'll follow it up. I mean, it takes follow up. To be honest, the way to get those is just like if you're going to sell something. It's 7 touches. It's 7 touches before you get your in-kind donation. And sometimes it's $100 gift certificate. And you're like, it took me 7 phone calls and 7 emails to get this darn thing. But there are people that are volunteers who have fun doing it. Find them.
So basically they pay you the money just so that you don't keep bugging them anymore.
Exactly. Oh, please do not come in my restaurant again. Also, it does help if you buy something while you're there. I have spent a lot of money getting fundraising donations because I'll take Ted out to dinner and I'll say, could we please also have a $25 gift certificate? So.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of your way. I know if you have other questions, though, throw them in the chat. I'll stick around for 5 minutes or so, and I'll answer them in the chat. And then you guys have a really great rest of your meeting. And I hope I didn't take up too much of your time. And if you do want to buy a book, let them know, and then I'll order them tomorrow, and I'll make sure you get it to you through Patty Smith.
All right, that was awesome. Let's give Michelle a round of applause. Thank you very much for being here, Michelle. And I'm going to go ahead and do the draw.